The beginning of the end. Stranger Things returns with radio wave warfare. Stranger Things is finally back, and if this new teaser trailer is anything to go by, Season 5 is about to bring the most explosive and emotional showdown yet. The trailer wastes no time getting into it, starting with one of the most underrated tools of the series, radio waves. Yeah, remember how in Season 1, the gang used radios to talk to Will when he was trapped in the Upside Down? It was sci-fi, but innocent. Now, the teaser hints at something much bigger. What if radio waves aren't just for communication anymore? What if they've become the weapon? We see glimpses of Steve racing through the Upside Down with a giant antenna strapped to a truck, Hopper hurling grenades, Joyce with an axe. The vibe is clear. This isn't just a rescue mission. This is war, and it might just be fought through frequencies. Hawkins is still hurting, and it shows. The emotional weight hits almost immediately when we see townspeople living in shelters. Hawkins hasn't recovered since Vecna split it wide open in the Season 4 finale. Entire blocks were swallowed into the earth. The rift didn't just destroy the town physically, it shattered their sense of normalcy. And it looks like the people of Hawkins have been living like this for months. No electricity in sight, tents, and supply drops everywhere. It's chaos. That opening rift wasn't just the beginning of an invasion, it was the invasion. And it's still going. In the middle of all this, we get that shot of Will, his hand to the back of his neck, a shiver running down his spine. That moment instantly takes us back to earlier seasons. Will is still tethered to Vecna, still haunted, maybe even being used. The goosebumps aren't just a reminder, they're a warning. The military moves in, but the kids are still the heart. The trailer gives us a powerful image, military trucks rumbling through Hawkins, soldiers with flamethrowers, fencing off rift zones, and deploying hazmat teams. This isn't subtle anymore. The government knows what's happening, and they're clearly trying to contain the infection. But despite the overwhelming force, we also see the kids. Mike, Lucas, Dustin, and the rest, still pedaling their bikes through town, just like old times. The message here is unmistakable. The world may be collapsing, but these kids are still the ones holding it together. And speaking of Dustin, we get a heartbreaking shot of him at Eddie Munson's grave. That one hit hard. Eddie was wrongly blamed for the rift by the town's religious fanatics, and even in death, he's still paying the price. His grave is simple, quiet, but it represents something deeper. Hawkins never knew its true heroes.
Everything.
Max's coma, Eleven's powers, and the return to Hawkins' lab. Let's talk about Maximum. She's still in a coma, her fate uncertain after she sacrificed herself in the Season 4 finale. 11 managed to bring her back, kind of, but the trauma left Max shattered, physically and maybe psychically. But here's where it gets interesting. We see Max awake, running from demo dogs, chased through dark hallways. Is this real? A dreamscape? The Upside Down bleeding into her mind? Or has her link to Vecna given her powers of her own? There's a growing theory that Max could become a psychic medium, someone who can enter the Upside Down without needing the powers 11 has. And honestly, it makes sense. She's experienced deep emotional trauma, the exact kind of trigger that awakened powers in others. Then there's the Hawkins lab shot, but this time, it's flipped. The gang isn't just returning to the lab, they're entering it inside the Upside Down. That's a full circle moment. The place where it all started is now ground zero for the final war. Seeing the kids strategizing around a D&D map, just like Season 1, is both nostalgic and foreboding. The game that helped them survive before might be the key to winning the final battle. 11 returns to the spirit world, but is it enough? We see 11 and Mike having a quiet conversation right before she enters a sensory deprivation tank. That's vintage Stranger Things. But this time, the stakes are different. The teaser suggests that she's heading back into the Black Void, the psychic plane where she first encountered the Demogorgon and later tried to confront Vecna. But what if she's not strong enough anymore? Or worse, what if Vecna expects her there? Season 5 feels like it's teeing up a situation where 11 can't do it alone. The old strategy of brute force and psychic power might not be enough, and that's where Will could come in. Because while 11 has power, Will has connection. Could Will be the true chosen one? Let's unpack that. Will was the first to go missing, the first to experience the upside down, the first to survive it. That connection has never left him, and now the teaser shows him sketching again, just like he did in Season 2, when he mapped the tunnels under Hawkins. What if those drawings are more than memories? What if Vecna is still using him, feeding him visions? Some fans are convinced that Will isn't just connected to the Upside Down, he might be its undoing, the real chosen one. Maybe he and 11 together form the final weapon, one with strength, one with insight. And if Will can flip the connection, use it against Vecna, then maybe there's hope.
But we need to be ready.
Radio waves, psychic warfare, and a new kind of weapon. Let's circle back to the biggest sci-fi theory coming out of this teaser: radio warfare. There are clear shots of antennas, radio towers, swirling clouds around signal dishes. Dustin, Hopper, and Steve all seem to be in on it. What if they've created some kind of frequency disruptor? A mental EMP? It fits with what we know. Vecna can be disrupted by music. We saw that with Max and Kate Bush. So maybe there's a way to build a massive amplifier, a frequency cannon, that could blast through the hive mind and give the heroes a shot. And if Will and 11 can amplify that with their own powers, that's a literal brain bomb.
Wherever this blood leads.
Linda Hamilton's role, a survivor, a government agent, or something more? Let's talk about the new face in the trailer, Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor herself. Her casting is such a perfect fit for Stranger Things. Just like Paul Racer, Sean Astin, and Robert Englund before her, she adds that nostalgic 80s legacy. But who is she playing? There are a few theories. A hardened government agent running a last-ditch plan to contain Hawkins. A former MKUltra test subject, like Terry Ives. Or even a mysterious figure tied to Project Indigo, the program that may have preceded 11's. One wild theory? She's the Hawkins Protocol, a failsafe designed to nuke the entire town if the Upside Down takes over. Chilling, but not impossible.
Everything.
Is Eddie Munson coming back as Kas the Bloody-Handed? This one's for the D&D nerds. And honestly, it might be the biggest twist of all. Some fans believe Vecna's final servant, or enemy, might be Eddie Munson, or rather, Eddie reborn as Kas the Bloody-Handed. In D&D lore, Kas is Vecna's most trusted lieutenant who eventually betrays him. And think about it, Eddie's body was never recovered. He died in the Upside Down. His death mirrored that of a tragic hero. Plus, his vampire aesthetic? On point. If he comes back as a reanimated warrior, that betrayal could be the key to defeating Vecna. It would be poetic, tragic, and epic all at once. Is Steve Harrington doomed? Steve's been a fan favorite from the moment he picked up a bat and protected those kids. And in this trailer, he's front and center, running, fighting, and risking everything, which is exactly why fans are terrified he's not going to make it. He's shown doing all the classic hero stuff, defending the group, driving the antenna truck, standing in front of monsters. It feels like a setup for a final stand. Some think he might sacrifice himself. Others hope he'll survive, maybe injured, maybe trapped in the Upside Down. But one thing's for sure, Steve's arc is heading toward a climax, and it's going to hurt. Vecna's endgame? Or is there a bigger threat? We see Vecna stepping through a dissolving barrier, more menacing than ever. But is he the final boss? Some believe he is. The culmination of every season's horrors. The mastermind. Others aren't so sure. There's growing speculation that Vecna may serve something even darker, a kind of hive intelligence, maybe even an elder brain figure from D&D. The Upside Down itself seems alive, after all. What if Vecna is just a general, and the true king hasn't revealed itself yet? Either way, it's going to come down to a massive, final battle. 11, Will, maybe even Eddie, facing off against the darkness once and for all.
I'm gonna...
The fate of Hawkins. Will it survive? The trailer ends with total chaos. Buildings collapsing, churches overrun, black vines swallowing streets. The Upside Down isn't creeping in anymore. It's consuming everything. There's a theory floating around that the government might wipe Hawkins off the map. Literally. Blame it on a natural disaster, cover everything up, and never speak of it again. The question is, who will make it out?
Need to be ready.
Closing the gate and saying goodbye. There's no release date yet, but signs point to a summer 2025 premiere, maybe even July 4th, like Season 3. And honestly, we need time to emotionally prepare, because this isn't just a finale, it's a goodbye to these characters, to this town, to the show that shaped a generation. Whether you're Team 11, Team Will, or just hoping Steve survives, one thing is clear, this final season is going to hit us right in the upside down.